I don't know who needs to hear this, but Deadpool is not a heterosexual character. He is not straight. He is a queer, pansexual character. This is not anything new. This is something we've known about for quite a while. Here's an article from all the way back in 2018 where it says Ryan Reynolds is open to exploring Deadpool's pansexuality. And this is something he talked about at Comic-Con. So this was not a big secret. It wasn't some hidden message in an interview buried somewhere. This is something that we have known about for a while. And I'm seeing a lot of people in the Chud Tube, Grift Tube, Scam Tube space where they keep talking about how unwoke or anti-woke the Deadpool and Wolverine movie is. And literally you have a character who is pansexual, openly talking about their sexuality throughout pretty much the entire film. But somehow it's completely missed by a bunch of people in that community who just want to overlook it. We're going to look at a video today from YellowFlash where he talks about some controversy around this film and the reaction from some of the queer people on the internet. So let's watch the video and talk about it. I want to first start off with the irony of this title. Woke media review bombs Deadpool and Wolverine for having zero gay man-on-man scenes. Now, it's crazy to me that they're talking about review bombing when it comes to this film, when review bombing is something that their community does constantly. It is a constant thing. Look at the Acolyte. It is a constant thing. They review bomb all the time. So I'm very curious if he has any proof of this or if it's just him saying.
Got a couple things that I want to go over with Deadpool and Wolverine. As you know, the movie is making a ton of money. It's crossed 500 million. I think probably within 2 or 3 weeks, we'll see this movie hit $1 billion. If not this coming weekend, because I don't think anything's coming out this weekend, right?
No.
Nothing that's going to get in this movie's way. So Marvel has a hit on their hands. What are they doing in the comic books? Well, they're turning Deadpool into a woman, because of course they are. Deadpool is dead. Long live Deadpool. Get your first look at Wade's daughter, Ellie, taking up the mantle in 2 new covers. And
these guys have a really hard time understanding what a mantle is when it comes to a character. It seems like they just don't get it. It doesn't compute in their mind. This is Deadpool's daughter picking up the mantle for a storyline where Deadpool is no longer around, but it's fucking comic books, which means that Deadpool will come back. He's a far too popular character for them to just kill off. Let's be serious here for a second.
Follow her new mission in Deadpool #7. Comes out this November. So let me put that in perspective for you. You're a new fan. You really enjoyed that movie. You want to know what Deadpool's doing. So if you go to the comic shops right now, I guess he's dying.
I guess you missed the part in the movie where there's 10,000 different Deadpools. I guess you missed that part where there's like an entire scene full of Deadpools who are not the same person. They're not the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool version. These are all alt Deadpools. I'm pretty sure fans of Deadpool will understand if there's another version of Deadpool available for them to read. I'm pretty sure they get it. We're not that stupid, YellowFlash. I mean, maybe you are, but the fans are not.
And then just in time for when the video streaming services for the movie come out and the home video releases come out,
it's almost like it's a cross promotion thing, right? It's almost like they're saying, hey, this Deadpool thing might be popular this time of year when people are watching it at home, and we want to bring them some other flavors to this Deadpool thing and use it to introduce some new IPs. It's not a new business practice. This isn't something brand new for comic books and movies and TV shows, but they're going to frame it that way because that's the narrative they want to go with. Let's continue.
And I'm sure this movie will make a killing on Blu-ray and DVD and 4K Blu-ray and streaming.
Old man talking. Blu-ray and 4K. Who does physical media anymore? JK.
On top of what it's doing already. You'll get this character. I don't know why they do it, but every single time.
Because it's cross-promotion for IPs. Deadpool is a very popular IP. It's just like with Batman and Superman and Spider-Man. There's tons of versions of them that have happened over the years that they try to use and try to make a little bit extra money off of. By creating alternate versions. I mean, are you really this stupid, YellowFlash?
They put out a movie with a new character or a new MCU movie or whatever.
Deadpool's not a new character. Nice slip up there.
There's so many times where they kill the character off and they replace it. Doctor Strange recently, like off of the top of my head.
Okay.
When Multiverse of Madness came out, They killed off Stephen Strange and replaced him with his ex-wife, and she became Doctor Strange. It's happened multiple times.
So Doctor Strange isn't still alive in the MCU? We're not going to see that character continue? I mean, you're acting like these characters go away and never come back. I mean, to completely destroy that narrative, how many times have characters over the years in comic books been killed off and then a few years later they come back? I can't think of any character, mainstream character in comic books that has been killed off and stayed dead and never returned. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Not mainstream heroes.
So they just keep doing this shit. It's like, oh, movie's coming out. Better make sure that we replace the character that people are going to want to read with some new derivative character.
Right, because there isn't tons of Deadpool content out there. There isn't tons of like the only Deadpool content they're going to see is this one. This is the only one. They can't go and find thousands of Deadpool comics, crossovers, storylines, other things can turn Deadpool. The only thing they're going to see, the only one thing that they're going to see is this derivative Deadpool story about his daughter. That's the only one.
Sure. They did it with Iron Man too. Iron Man, when those movies were the hottest.
And Iron Man is still around. Iron Man is still around. So you're going to bring up Ironheart with Riri, who exists in a world where Iron Man is also still around. So both those characters still exist. Here we go.
Movies in the world was Riri Williams. It makes no sense. But hey, let's check in with comic book sales. How are those doing? Oh, wait. Colorado comic book retailers continue to push forward despite drop in sales. This is from Denver ABC.
They never go through the specific reasons for why. He's not going to talk about the specific reasons why. And furthermore, this doesn't have, we've already looked at the fact that we talked about this before, the fact that comic books don't receive a massive boost every time something comes out. It does happen from time to time, but it's not a common thing. We don't see that commonly. The transference of like movie watchers and cartoon watchers moving over to comic books is not as big as a comic book fan watching the movie or the TV show. It just doesn't happen. You get some overlap of that, but it doesn't happen all the time.
Clownfish posted this. That's how I found this.
Of course.
This isn't coming from some biased source. Comics.
Clownfish is absolutely a biased source. Clownfish is 100%.
Retailer survey. So this is from Comics Pro. And you could see it right there. 69% reported a loss of gross sales. 54% reported sales less than 300,000.
But what is the reason why? What is the reason why? You're trying to compare two things together here and go, oh, this is the reason why. The reason why is they made a female Deadpool. That's the reason why sales dropped. Is that the argument? Because you're not going to give any reason. You're just going to use this nebulous fill in the blank like complaint of wokeness. That's what you're going to use.
Medium is dying. They treat it as a storyboard for the movies. So Lady Daughter Deadpool.
How are they treating it for a storyboard? Where is a Deadpool comic book that outlines what we've seen in this film? Where is that? How many movies have been a perfect one-to-one translation of a comic book story? None of them. None of them. They all take bits and pieces of stories, and there's creative freedom with the directors and writers that come in. So
is apparently going to bring people in. No one's going to buy this shit. No one is going to want this.
And you have such a great track record of being right about what people want, right? I mean, we can't talk about the string of things that you've been wrong about. X-Men 97. We can't talk about those things, right? You're so on the money with this.
Stupid. They don't run Marvel or DC Comics like an actual business. And real businesses that depend on them hurt for it.
What are we talking about? So you're saying that let's string this together. He's saying that the movies use the blueprints of comic book stories to make the movies, and then he's mad that they take the success of those movies and try to create some alternate stories around different characters to bring visibility to them, which is exactly what comic books like the Fantastic Four did back in the day by introducing new characters into the Marvel universe back in the day. Like, they were a platform for introducing new things. This is how you run business, YellowFlash. You have a very popular thing, and then you take some things that may not be as popular, and you use those to springboard off of the more popular things. Some of those are going to be good, some of them are not. The reality is that the comic book industry as a business right now is not thinking about individual mom and pop shops, and they never really did to begin with. Let's be clear here. This isn't something new that started out. We can talk about the publishers and all the bullshit that went along with that years ago when it comes to comic book shops. So this isn't a new thing, but you're acting like for some reason it's unique in this situation and that they're specifically doing this. Like, please explain this. Why would Marvel Comics make something that they did not believe was going to make money? Why would they do that? What would be the purpose of that? You guys never, ever answer this question because you don't have an answer and you have no proof that the two things are connected. There's a lot of things culturally that have shifted that have caused a lot of businesses to decline, things to go away, things not be the same as they used to be. Entertainment in general is seeing a hit because of the economy. Let's be clear here. It's not because of wokeness.
No wonder manga is blowing up and taking over the Western market because it was given to a pack of fools.
I'm a robot, manga.
Now, let's get into why somebody is mad about this movie. This critic over at The Guardian is mad because Deadpool and Wolverine aren't having gay sex in the movie. I'm not kidding. Here's his problem with the movie. So I'm going to sum up this entire article. It criticizes Deadpool and Wolverine because it exploits Deadpool's pansexuality as queer bait rather than exploring it meaningfully.
So to you, that means sex. Right? To you, that means that you need to see actual sex. Now, I hope in this article that he explicitly states that he wants to see sex between these two characters. I hope so, because I have a response to that. But if he doesn't say that, then you are injecting that and you're projecting onto that what you think it should be. There are some legitimate arguments that could be made about the way the pansexuality is portrayed in the film. But let's see how nuanced you are in this take, YellowFlash. I have a feeling there's not much nuance to your argument.
So he's arguing that the character is presented as pansexual, but it's treated as a punchline because they make jokes. So like, oh, it's a marketing gimmick.
It is, but that's Deadpool, right? Deadpool makes jokes. So both of those statements are true. The pansexuality is treated as a punchline, and they're done that way because Deadpool is a comedian character. He's a funny character. Now, you can decide whether you like the way that's delivered or not. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but that is in fact what happened. There is no serious conversation about his pansexuality in the movie. It's played for the laughs, and there are some legitimate concerns about that, but you can't dispute that. That's exactly the way it was portrayed. And that's the reason why a lot of you guys are defending this, and I have some thoughts on that in a second.
And the reason he calls it a gimmick is because if you've seen some of the posters or stuff like this, you know, this is like a Beauty and the Beast kind of inspired thing here. There's also, I believe, a poster of them like Wolverine holding Deadpool. So that might be just Hot Toys. I use it in a thumbnail. The Hot Toys, those, if you don't know what those are, if you watch Heel versus Babyface, those are.
So my question is, why is this okay for you? Are you okay with this kind of promotion for the film? Because if this were She-Hulk or The Acolyte or any other one of these things that has talked about queerness or diversity or how they want to be visible to the world, if this poster were a poster from The Acolyte and it showed two men dancing together or something like that, you guys would be losing your minds over it. So my question is, and you're not going to answer it because this is a one-sided reaction here. My question is, why is this okay for you guys? But if it were anything else, you would be losing your minds. More on that in a moment.
Those are those really sweet, realistic looking, like 1/6 scale figures that he has. The Wolverine one is available for pre-order, and it looks real. Like, it's shocking how close to like Hugh Jackman's actual likeness is there. But he says they're treating it as a gimmick and a joke.
It is. Rather
than, being genuine with the representation.
I mean, it is. Do you disagree with that? Deadpool is a funny character. In this movie, there's not one bit of actual true feelings between these two characters. I don't even know if it was necessary, to be quite honest, but they don't really explore it. It is a joke in the film. Are you saying that's not what it was? Or are you disagreeing with this guy's opinion that it should have been more genuine? Can you get to the point?
Despite opportunities for more inclusive storytelling, the film opts for a more superficial reference.
Yes.
And jokes, highlighting a disconnect between representation and meaningful engagement with LB.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really representation. It was punchlines. I don't really have a problem with that personally. Like I have my opinions on it. They aren't all favorable, but I mean, that's Deadpool's character. Like, are you arguing again that wasn't the case?
LGBTQ plus themes in mainstream superhero cinema. That's pretty much this entire article in a gist.
Okay.
Sorry, dude, but if Wolverine and Deadpool were banging in that Honda Odyssey instead of fighting, nobody would want to watch this movie.
Okay, so there we go. It was, in fact, projection. This is YellowFlash, just like so many of you guys in this space who act like you don't want to see gay stuff. When someone talks about seeing something meaningful between queer characters, you immediately think about sex. Your mind immediately goes to the toilet. Bro, are you thinking about this more than we are? Are you thinking about it more than we are? When we're talking about something meaningful, we might be talking about a scene where they talk about how they feel about each other, or an embrace, a hug, something that makes it feel more genuine between the characters. I'm pretty sure, just like I've seen a couple other articles like this, that is what people are asking for. They are not asking for literal sex in the movies. When you guys complain about the lack of like heterosexuality in films, does that mean that you're talking about sex? Like the two characters hooking up and getting together? Or are you talking about just genuine connections between characters so that you can see that they actually care about each other, because that is expressing their feelings for one another? Like, this guy isn't calling for man-on-man sex. And if he is, you didn't talk about it. And if it wasn't here, I'm pretty sure you would show it and say it verbatim, but you didn't do that. So tells me everything I need to know. So you projected. It's a bullshit video.
Because nobody wants to see that in a effing superhero movie. But this is what a lot of critics want to see. They're not interested. This is basically what the Star Wars audience is now. Because they've ran off everybody. So now they just make everything a bunch of shipping.
So you do understand the difference between sex and relationships. You do understand, because you just said you used the term shipping. So you were super sensational with this one because you're trying to find a narrative that drives your point home. You want to make this a woke versus anti-woke thing. And so that is your through line. I see what you're trying to do. Most of us are not as stupid as you think we are.
This woke audience, all they want to see are characters having sex. They're not.
Where did he ask for that? Where did he ask for that in this video? Nowhere in this article did he ask for that.
Really interested in story. They're not really interested in action. Well, I take that back. They are interested in action, just not the kind of action that most people want to see. So
wait a minute. Didn't you get caught on stream? Didn't you get caught on stream DMing with a porn star? So your morality on all this, Mr. YellowFlash, that everything needs to be blah, blah, whatever, your morality judgment on everybody acting like sex is something you don't think about. I mean, you leaked your own DMs.
Because they make jokes like him grabbing Colossus's butt or did he smack it? I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've watched Deadpool 2. Not a big fan of that one. I think the first one and this one are much better.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I would put Deadpool 2 dead last out of all three of them. Let me know in the comments what your ranking is for him. But because that was laughed at, he's mad. It was treated as a joke.
No, there's a deeper thing there that I'm going to talk about when we get to the end of this video, because I do want to dive into that. But let's finish this out. See how much more he's going to offer us from Dumbsville, USA.
It's a gimmick. They're queer baiting. And it's the same with this one. He wanted them to kiss and make sweet, sweet superhero love so that he could see.
Where did he say that in the article? Where did he say that? Point to it or shut the fuck up.
Himself in Deadpool. Who wants to see themselves in Deadpool? I'm sorry. I'd rather be Wolverine, number one. Deadpool is nasty. I like the character and all, but I mean, he's a giant scab. He actually looks better in the movie than he really looks in the comics. The reason he looks like that, the movies have never given us a genuine Deadpool, but I'm okay with the Deadpool that we get. But in the comics, Deadpool is completely insane. That's where he gets his fourth wall breaking.
So you're already admitting here, you complained earlier that people that were looking for Deadpool in the movies would go and find a comic book where it's not the same character. And then you got mad because you're like, oh, well, these are based on these characters, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. And here you're admitting that the Deadpool in the movie isn't like the one from the comic books. So you're telling on yourself. You're telling on yourself right now.
abilities from. It's because he's insane. And also, the reason that his skin is so messed up, unless they've changed this, it's because he's constantly healing because of his cancer.
Yeah, thank you for explaining to us what they explained in the
I don't
very
remember
first
exactly why,
movie.
but the cancer and his healing factor constantly healing and trying to get the cancer out is basically why his skin looks like it does.
It's comic book shit. We don't need your explanation. Can we move on?
So he's a giant scab, basically. He looks worse than he does in the movies. He actually looks, you know, he's just kind of like broken because of the way the skin. I don't remember exactly how they explained it in the movies, but you know, he gets it when he activates his X gene. But
so you don't. You're so upset. You're so upset about all this, but you don't remember stuff from the second movie. You don't remember stuff from the first movie. They explained the cancer thing in the first movie. You don't have to explain it to us. You're such a diehard fan that you don't even remember basic fundamental elements of the Deadpool franchise. And this is stuff you didn't have to watch the movie recently to know this stuff. This is stuff that should be well known to the people that watch the films. That's very basic shit.
In the comics, he has cancer and he's constantly healing. He's insane. But he does swing both ways in the books. That's been a thing for a long time. But
well, pansexuality isn't swinging both ways. That's not what see, you don't even understand what it is. You don't understand gay. You don't understand sexuality. You don't understand people whether they want to see genuine connections or sex. You don't understand pansexuality. Like, you don't understand any of this. This is why all of you guys are clowns. You're absolute fucking clowns.
You know, that's just not what they've chosen to do in the movies. And this guy's mad about it. He even is mad because the pegging stuff is treated as a joke because of the pegging joke. How dare they laugh at that?
And you're laughing right now, which is going to bring me to my final point. We'll talk about this in a second.
Anyway, I don't know. What a dumb thing to get mad at.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Okay, so the reason why people like YellowFlash and all of these other channels are championing this movie, even though Deadpool is overtly sexual in terms of the comments made, everything from like the jokes about Boy Scouts, about predators, really jokes about predators, about SA, jokes about waking up with morning wood, essentially, jokes about pleasuring Wolverine, like things like that. All of these things are easily digestible for people like YellowFlash and other content creators that typically dislike this kind of stuff because it is a joke. That's why it's so easily digestible for them. When gay people, pan people, bi people, trans people are the butt of a joke, regardless of who's telling the joke or who's making the joke or who's getting the joked on, as long as it's done with humor, they're absolutely fine with it. And that is the gist of like articles like this, things like that, is that people who are queer want to see representation that isn't just humor. However, if it's two gay people in a genuine relationship, like in The Last of Us, they get completely sidetracked by it. It bothers them. It makes them upset because they don't want to see gay people as normal people. They want to see gay people and queer people as the butt of a joke. Everything is funny to them. So that's why all of this played well for them. And this is where I think, for me, it's like I'm of two minds on it. Like, I didn't necessarily have an issue with it because Deadpool is a jokester character. He's a funny character. So it isn't like out of character for him to make these kinds of jokes. But also, as somebody who's part of the queer community and seeing how queer people are treated in media by a lot of these channels and a lot of these fucking pundits, it does bother me that they didn't have some sort of a genuine moment in there. Like, these are the same people that were losing their minds that Morph made a advance towards Wolverine in the shower in X-Men 97, a very quick like joke that they made as a non-binary character that they had an issue with for some reason. But then you come around to this movie, and now when they're being overtly offensive to queer people with the jokes they're making, now the target of the joke is queer people. So as long as we are fodder for jokes being targeted towards us at rapid fire pace, then they're totally cool with it. But when you have a queer person saying, hey, I could have had a little bit more of a deeper emotional situation in the movie, that's what they wanted to see. All of a sudden, that's asking too much. I mean, it's very clear. It's very clear the kind of content these people make and the kind of dumb shit they come up with. So for me, I call it as I see it. YellowFlash, just stop talking about this shit. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.